Here is a video from today's event, India's Independence Day, 15th August.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Ambassador His Excellency Manish Prabhaji to deliver his address. Please.
Good afternoon, Namaste, Excellencies, esteemed colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Along with my wife, Ruchi, I am very happy that I see you all today at the India House. We have a warm day today, just like an Indian summer in Denmark. That shows also that India and Denmark are marching together. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to this reception to celebrate the 79th Independence Day of India. Your presence here as friends of India is deeply valued by us, and I am grateful for your participation. On this day, we look back to 1947, when India became independent after a prolonged struggle under the inspiring and visionary leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. We have countless heroes of our independence, but it is to be underlined that it was a mass movement involving millions of Indians, which largely remained non-violent and insisted on nothing but the truth, what Mahatma Gandhi called Satyagraha. Since its independence, India has firmly put itself on the path of progress and development with peace and a message of friendship to the world. India would like to make constructive and positive contribution to the global issues facing all of us and help make the world a better place. It is in this spirit that India and Denmark work together. Indo-Danish contacts have a deep history dating back to at least 3 centuries or more. Last year, India and Denmark celebrated the 75th anniversary of the establishment of their diplomatic relations. 5 years ago, we embarked on our Green Strategic Partnership, a first of its kind for both the countries, conscious of the fact that green transition is urgently needed in the world. With the world's largest population and the fastest growing major economy, India provides the opportunity for Danish green technologies to be implemented on a large scale. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Ms. Mette Frederiksen have remained in close touch. The leadership of both the countries has demonstrated a strong political will for India-Denmark Green Strategic Partnership to flourish, which includes close cooperation in trade and services, green technologies and innovation, research and education, and people-to-people contacts. Recently, I had the opportunity to visit several cities in India, specifically to meet Danish companies operating in India, Indo-Danish companies with strong partnerships, and chambers, academia, and educational institutions, which are providing a strong platform for India-Denmark cooperation to grow in multifaceted fields. Almost every large Danish company is present in India, has invested in India, and has a positive outlook towards the large and growing market of middle-class consumption of India. As Government of India is acutely conscious of the need for adaptation of clean and green technologies, Danish participation in Indian economy has been welcomed by all stakeholders. India hosts the largest number of global competence centers established by companies from around the world, and Danish companies have found it equally fruitful to have their global competence and global service centers established in India. It is a strong testimony of India's vibrant tech and innovation system. Among mid-sized and small enterprises in Denmark, there is a strong desire to enter the Indian market. The Embassy of India makes regular outreach to them, not only in Copenhagen, but in places like Silkeborg, Sonderborg, Aarhus, Aalborg, and beyond. In recent months, various sectors of economic activities in India have seen increased Danish participation. In shipping sector, new ports are being developed in India to become hubs for production of green ammonia. Shipbuilding capacity and port handling capacity is increasing in India, and these have attracted more Danish companies, as was evident from the recent visit of Shipping Minister of India to Denmark in June. Indian consortia have presented curated lists of green projects for Danish companies with the eye MOU has been concluded for Danish companies to take up these projects. Indian startups have been successfully pitching in the marquee Tech Barbecue in Denmark. An exclusive India-Nordic Startup Summit featured in the annual Tech Barbecue last year and would happen this year too at the end of this month in Copenhagen. Indian Financial Services Authority has concluded an MOU with the Danish Financial Services Authority, which would further facilitate Danish pension fund and other portfolio investors to invest in India. Excellencies, dear friends of India, among these encouraging and successful trends, India and the Nordic countries, including Denmark, were looking forward to hold their third India-Nordic Summit in Oslo in the middle of May, which unfortunately had to be postponed due to the ghastly terrorist attack in Pahalgam in India on 22 April, in which 26 innocent tourists were butchered. All the victims being males selected for execution-style killing right in front of their family members. The world was shaken by such a heinous act. India is grateful for Denmark's unequivocal condemnation of the Pahalgam terrorist attack and solidarity with India. In the aftermath of such a cowardly act of cross-border terrorism, India launched Operation Sindoor and achieved its objectives in destroying several centers of terrorist recruitment and training across the border. Operation Sindoor continues. India is resolved to fight the scourge of terrorism and seeks global cooperation to combat this menace to humanity. In this backdrop, External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, visited Denmark in May and had very useful and productive meetings with Denmark's leadership. The visit provided an opportunity to convey India's appreciation for Denmark's solidarity and support in combating terrorism. Various meetings held also advanced the agenda of the Green Strategic Partnership. At the end of May, an all-party delegation sent by the Parliament of India to various capitals of the world also visited Denmark and briefed the leadership of the Danish Parliament, Foreign Policy Committee members, and other influential opinion makers on the continued menace of cross-border terrorism faced by India and the need for global solidarity in the fight against terrorism, including in the United Nations. The continued geopolitical tensions in the world have now taken different facets. Last week, Prime Minister of India had telephonic conversations with both President Zelensky and President Putin regarding the situation in Ukraine. A peaceful and diplomatic solution would be in the best interest of all, including for the countries of the Global South, which have faced increased uncertainty with regard to the prices of fuel and fertilizers. India has always opposed unilateral sanctions. The huge needs of energy of India for its people and its economy should be taken as a factor for consideration. Rapidly changing tariff regimes and uncertainty created by it is further creating difficulties for the global trading regime, especially for the developing countries of the Global South. India has constructively engaged with all its partners for mutually beneficial trade to grow. Last month, India and the United Kingdom concluded a mutually beneficial India-UK free trade agreement. Negotiating teams from India and the European Union are working hard towards achieving India-EU free trade agreement as soon as possible by the end of the year, probably as per the directives of their respective leadership. India and the US have conducted several rounds of trade negotiations to find mutually beneficial, optimal solutions. India's constructive approach is self-evident. At the same time, India calls for a strong multipolar world with reforms in the United Nations, WTO, and other multilateral bodies. Lastly, I am happy to mention the significant contribution of the Indian diaspora in Denmark to the strengthening of India-Denmark relations. The highly skilled Indian diaspora is engaged in the sectors of IT, high-tech research, and innovation in Denmark. Denmark Statistics official report of 2024 found that among all the nationalities living in Denmark, Indians had the highest income. This not only demonstrates the skills, diligence, and sincerity of the Indian community and workforce in Denmark, but also highlights the welcoming environment of Denmark, where talented immigrants are provided the opportunity to contribute positively to the society with their full potential. With these words, I reiterate that India and Denmark, as two vibrant democracies, are engaged today closely as never before to help the global green transition and find mutually beneficial paths to cooperate. I thank you all for joining us this evening and provide your support and your friendship to India and to Denmark. Thank you all.
Now we have a few cultural performances. Ms. Vijayata Sriram.
Thanks for watching Indiavision. Give us a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. All comments are welcome. Hope to see you soon.